Hello everyone and welcome to GG's Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by Bethane, with myself, Joe Tuffin, standing in for Kate Tracy, who is at Royal Ascot today, alongside Andrew Mount and Matty Sutcliffe, who takes Dave's place. Dave also enjoying the action on course at Ascot and meeting his hero, as you can see here. We'll be taking a look at every race from Royal Ascot on Saturday, the final day of the meeting. But first, think a round of applause in order for Mr. Mount. Those that watched the Ascot special last week will have seen that he put up 20-1 chance Docklands as his nap of the meeting, and he of course obliged in the Queen Anne, beating Dave's Nap Brazilian by a whisker. 2 races after that, American Affair, who was Andrew's 7th best bet, also won to give us another double-figure price winner. So congratulations, Andrew, and congratulations to those that watched and followed. Just before we start, I'd like to quickly ask a favour. Only 30% of our Weekend Watch viewers are subscribed to the channel. So if you're part of that 70%, please hit that subscribe button to support the channel. It really helps us out and means that we can continue to bring you specials like we did last week from that fancy studio down in London.
And we should say that subscribe sounds like you have to pay money, but you don't. It's just
you don't.
It just means you are a member of the channel, and there's absolutely no cost whatsoever.
Absolutely no cost. Subscribing is free. You'll get notifications, especially if you hit the bell when we upload, so you'll never miss a Weekend Watch. You'll never miss any of our uploads. But if you want to support the channel some more, you can become a member, and that obviously is massively appreciated by all of us. I should also just add that we record this at 2 p.m. So in 25 minutes, the first race of Royal Ascot is going to be off. So if you see Andrew, Matty, or myself's eyes wander to a TV sort of off screen, that is because that will be taking place. Right, anyway, intro stuff over. Let's get on to the racing. The first race of the day is the Chesham Stakes at 2:30, 7 furlongs, listed event for 2-year-olds. Trainmore, currently the 13-to-8 favourite with Bethane, but very much vying for favouritism with Aidan O'Brien's Moment of Joy, who's currently 6-4. Trainmore, the Frankel Colt, who looked very classy when winning at Newmarket, will be boosted by our sponsors Bethane. So make sure you keep an eye in the description to take advantage of that. Right, Matty, we'll start with you. Who do you like in the opener?
Yeah, hello everyone. You'll have to forgive me for my slightly raspy voice. I picked up some sort of some lurgy that's going around. As did Sardinian Warrior, who was pulled out with the Queen Anne late on, beaten by his 4 Docklands. So very well done to miss him out for that one. My first protocol here was to take on Trenmore, the Franco one, as you mentioned, Joe. I just he looked impressive on debut, but I sometimes think it's in those 2 old novices at Newmarket that some horses just handle it better than the others. They didn't look a deep field, and the 3 horses to have run since have all been well beaten. And also you've got to consider the Charlie Appleby form at Royal Ascot. In his last season, he openly admitted that he targeted America with his horses, and it's looks no different this season with his Cinderella Dream being well beaten yesterday. So I thought the obvious one who's been backed in since declaration was Moments of Joy for Raymore and Aidan O'Brien. Now she was a second string on debut at Leopardstown. Well, she showed quite a gutsy attitude to win her under Wayne Lorden with the other well-backed Culmore favourite back in 3rd. That was the same race at Bedtime Story won the year before. She was also second string, and she also come out and won the Chesham last season. So I think Moments of Joy is the obvious one for the win. I'd just like to take a wild swing. We're talking a quid each way on Tailgunner Joe for Dylan Cooner and Sean Levy. Now, we saw 2 years ago that Holloway Boy won the Chesham on his debut. It was actually a full brother to Humidity for Andrew Baldwin here. And Dylan Cooner had one go quite well on debut with the Queen Mary, beating the 4 lengths, 250-1. So there is the potential for it to happen. And he's got a very fascinating pedigree. He's by the Star American Mile and Breeders' Cup with a next go. I can't believe he's already siring 2-year-olds. There's a half-road to Group 1 winner in the US. So you'd imagine that this quick round will be up his sleeve. And I think he might go well at a price. It'll be Moments of Joy for the win, and a couple quid each way on Tailgunner Joe.
Excellent. Tailgunner Joe currently 66-1 with Bethane, and Moments of Joy 6-4. Now, whilst that was going on, I believe Andrew had a bit of a bet at Ripon, and he's just wiped the sweat from his forehead. So everything okay, Andrew?
Yeah, every time Serena Brotherton rides in an amateur race, I take her on and lay the horse in question because she's not the jockey that she was. She used to be one of the go-tos in these races, and I was dead against Hard to Win with 50 Shades of Red Zed, who was traded short in running after looking likely to win. but has got worn down close home. So there will be turkey on the table at Christmas again if I don't do anything stupid between now and the 25th of December. But yeah, thank you for all your kind words and messages about American Affair and Docklands. It just goes to show even the stock clock is right twice a day. And hopefully we can add a few more to that before the end of the week. My first thought when I saw humidity entered in the Cheshire Stakes was to side with this one because the form of his Newbury debut wins worked out so well. 10 runners have come out of that. 4 of them have won at the next time of asking. However, if you split those by the last time out running style, the horses who were held up have won 4 from 7. Those who were prominent are 0 from 3. There was a big pace bias that day. It was hugely important to be on the front end. And humidity, although the races worked out well, it's worked out well for the hold-up horses, whereas humidity made all the running. So I'm not convinced that he's going to back that up in such a tough race here. So I'm going to take him on, and I'm just going to be very boring and side with the Aidan O'Brien runner, Moments of Joy, because like Matty, I wanted to also oppose Charlie Appleby's Trian more. So boring though it is, I'm with the favourite Moments of Joy.
Okay, nice. Both of you then on Moments of Joy, 6-4. Humidity, a very apt name, based off what it's like in my room right now with my facing the sun office that I have. On to the second race of the day at Ascot is the Hardwick Stakes. That is 305, 1 mile, 4 furlongs, Group 2 for 4-year-olds and over. Andrew, we can let you go first on this one. Who do you like?
Give me a sec. I'm just turning the aircon down.
Oh, don't. That is very, very frustrating. I've got this fan. Is this making a noise? You can't hear this, can you?
Only a little bit. But yeah, well, you see, I've got quiet mode on today because I'm a professional. So that's what helps when the father-in-law's got an aircon business. So
wow.
makes race. And
it's not what you know, it's how you know, isn't it?
Exactly. So I'll slip you a business card later. The 305 race 2 here. Where are we? The Hardwick. Rebels. We've had a lot of talk about Charlie Appleby's Royal Ascot, and the last few that he's not had a winner for God knows how long, and people are opposing him just on the trainers sort of. On recency bias, and the trainers' last few Royal Ascots could have egg on their face here. He won the Yorkshire Cup last time out over a mile 6, but he only scraped home by a head from Epic Poet. And Sweet William blessed him, never been out the first 3 in his career, but proving hard to win with of late. He was only 3/4 of a length back in 3rd. So I'm not convinced that he's going to be at his best here and that he deserves to be such a short price, particularly as. His only previous run at Royal Ascot was a 3rd, beaten 5.5 lengths, not Royal Ascot, at Ascot last year. So I think I want to be on one that at a bigger price here. It was interesting to see the cheek pieces go on the Haggish runner, Space Legend. I know he was only 5th at Chester last time behind the Foxes. But obviously, that was a race where it paid to be on the front end. The winner and the runner-up were in the van throughout. That was his first run since Gelding. And I thought that with the cheek pieces on, with Ascot more suitable to his running style, bear in mind the last time he ran here, he was runner-up to Calandigan. Obviously, in the King Edward, the 7th Stakes last year, I thought he'd run a race here. I'm not totally keen on stall 1. But I still thought I'd sort of make him the pick over Rebels Romance. So yeah, just tentative with Space Legend here.
Space Legend, William Haggis's runner for Andrew, then 6-1 currently with Bethane. Matty, what about yourself? Who do you like?
Yeah, like Andrew, I'm taking on Rebels Romance with the William Haggis horse. It's not Space Legend, it's Candleford. Bit of a swing on this one. I just thought his best form seems to come fresh. He landed a Windsor Novice from a 65-day break and his 3rd start. He absolutely bolted up by 6 lengths in the Duke of Edinburgh on seasonal debut here in 2022. That was from a 219-day layoff. It was 3rd in a listed contest at Goodwood from a 223-day layoff. And then the season before, he won a listed race at the Curragh from a 239-day layoff. Now, it was only beaten, it was a 5-length 4 from this race last season. after that list of winning the Curragh, what looked like quite a deep renewal. I just wonder whether now that he comes here fresh instead rather than already having a run, that he could actually improve on that. And he also holds Rebels Romance on the collateral form line through Goliath. It was only 2 lengths behind Goliath in that race last season. Rebels Romance was beaten 5 lengths behind Goliath a few weeks later. So I do think that Candleford is overpriced for William Haggis on ground he'll love, and his best one fresh. So be around Candleford for me.
Candleford 25 to 1 currently with Bethane. That's an industry best price. Obviously, interesting as well to see Palladium in here. Of course, Nicky Henderson was with Nicky Henderson over the winter and has obviously been switched to the Gosdens. Do any of you give him a chance at all?
He's a tricky one to get a hold of. I wouldn't be all that keen, I don't think.
Fair enough. On to the 340 then at Ascot, the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes. 6 furlong, Group 1 for 4-year-olds and over. Lazat currently topping the market. I will start with you, Andrew, because you put up one of these in the special as one of your best bets. So
yeah, that's Flora of Bermuda for Andrew Balding, who has changed ownership since chasing home, beat a neck by Innis Sharon in the Clipper Stakes at York last time. That was a Group 2 contest. And I just love this filly. She's incredibly consistent. You go through her form, she's very rarely out the first 3 or 4. She tends to run the same sort of race every time. It's like the bigger the field, the stronger the pace, the better she runs because she's ridden patiently. Now, we know that those tactics aren't necessarily ideal for York, where Innis Sharon, the winner, got first run and was given a very strong ride by Ryan Moore against that inside rail. And she does love this track. And the last time she ran here was in the Champions Sprint Stakes last October, albeit on soft ground, when she was third to Kind of Blue, beaten half a length. That was in a field of 20 runners. And you just go through her form when she's had a big field and a strong pace. And she runs the same race. She stays on late. Usually she finishes second, third or fourth, but every now and again she wins. Now, arguably, she would prefer softer going, but the stiff finish, the strong pace, they're going to go like the absolute clappers here. It was good to firm at York last time. I don't think she's going to have a problem with conditions. And you look at her runs at this track, she's only been here twice, as well as that half-length third of 20 in Group 1 company, won a 25 to 1 shot as well, I should mention. She also ran here in the Queen Mary in 2023. And GG readers with a long memory will know that I put her up as a bet that day. And she won. Sadly, she won the race on her side of the track, finishing, but it was 6th of 20 overall. And I think we were on each way, 6th of 26 when we were on each way at 4 or 5 places. So she clearly likes the track. The ground, although softer would have been better, I think it's going to be okay for her. And at the prices, she's 12, 14 to 1. I think she's worth an each way bet, despite the slight concern that she might be drawn a bit lower than ideal. You look at the first 4 in the market: Lazat, Innis Sharon, Satona Rev, and Storm Boyd coming out of stalls 11, 13, 16, and 15. But again, because she's a hold-up horse, she can just be switched by PJ McDonald down the middle of the track, track the base, and hopefully come through. Maybe she's going to finish 4th or 3rd, but we're going to make a profit if that's the case. So yeah, I was really quite keen on her.
Excellent, and a great case made for Flora of Bermuda, 12 to 1 with Bethane. They will be boosting your bet, Andrew. They will be boosting your nap, and I think after Docklands in the Queen Anne, that's probably going to be very much of interest. So check the description below for a boosted price on Flora of Bermuda. Matty, over to you. Who do you like?
Yeah, I think, I'm just made a belting case for Flora of Bermuda. It's a fantastic race, isn't it? You've got Lazat in here, it's 2 from 2 over 6 furlongs. And they bolted up last time out in France. Really stamped his authority on the fact that this has to be his trip, and given he stays further, this course will suit. Although I don't think the French have won it for the last 10 years, maybe 11. And he does have something to find on form, I think. Innis Sharon won so well at York last time. Despite being under the pump for some way out, I think he's probably, after that window operation, having that mental realisation that he can breathe again. And Satona Rev as well should arguably be shorter if you do believe that the best sprinter on the global stage is Kane Rising, given his finish close up to the last 2 of the last 3 times. And Storm Boy as well, the Aussie horse who blew out in that race at the Curragh. when apparently they hadn't even galloped him yet. They just chucked him in there and hoped for the best. So he could be anything as well. But I sometimes think this race can throw up a surprise. We had Carden win it, but the last two renewals, 14-1, 80-1. Naval Crown won it at 33-1. And so I've got a chance two at the rear end of the market here, who have both contested the Avenant Stakes, which has been a good point in the future. And it's one of the first ones, Grand Grey. Now, it was second on yard debut in the Avenant Stakes when given far too much to do in rear. Couldn't find a gap whatsoever. Stuck on very late on and just failed. And I thought it was a good effort, especially on yard debut. The race was always the race was dominated by Sagia. And then he went to the Curragh, and he lost several lengths at the start, and he had absolutely no chance. But especially in a race of this nature, where you can sometimes do it if they go quick enough up top. He actually stuck on quite. He actually he took to the field. He came quite well to the field, and his mounting his challenge again, just with a bit short of room, hampered in rear, and in a race dominated by the front pair. I thought he ran a good race. The forms worked out well. Where we get there, Top Gear, the winner Top Gear, he's 8-1. The winner of that race was just behind him with a long shot as well. So he's probably overpriced in that respect. So we're breaking down terms this time. The race we ran to Soup for the yard, who won this in 2020. And also James Spencer on board as well. He won the race on Cardam in 2023. The other one is Run to Freedom, who also ran in that Avenant Stakes. And I've got a bit of a soft spot for this horse. He was off the track for 363 days after, I think, injuring himself in the 2024 Avenant Stakes. But he ran a good race at Newmarket there. You can tell that it blew up a little bit. He hung right, which he can do. And she was unbeaten in length, but just seemed to run out of steam. So even though if you do fancy Grand Grey, then you've got to take on Run to Freedom as well. Given the fact that the pair was split by Lethal Levi, who was second in that race at the Curragh last time too. If you go back through his Ascot form, look, he was beaten 5 lengths behind. Well, he was second in the Bengoff Stakes. He was second to a Pete Kinross over course and distance on Champions Day. He was 5 lengths behind Carden when slowly winning this race in 2023. And you just think like this will always have been the plan for him, for Henry Candy, who does get winners here. Of course, he's a half brother to Twilight. His half brother to Twilight Sun won the race before. And also, he's never a horse that particularly goes well fresh. But that RPR of 110 is his best RPR fresh yet. So if you can improve on that, it gets a toe into the race, and at a price it might go well. So 2 each were Grand Grey and Run to Freedom.
Well, can I just mention one more, Joe, please? Just Annaf, in the first time cheap pieces from Mick Appleby. He's got a good record at Ascot. He's had 4 runs here. He was 5th, being a length and a half, went 28-1 for a 5-furlong listed race, because he ran 3rd to Bradsell, went 50-1 in the King's Stand 2 years ago. Then he won over today's 6-furlong trip in Group 3 company in October 23. And last year, his only run here, he was in the same race as Flora Bermuda, the Champion Sprint Stakes in October. Finished 9th of 20. He was 28-1, beaten less than 5 lengths. The soft ground was probably, although he handled soft ground, he probably doesn't want soft ground over a stiff 6 furlongs. So on fast ground, in the first time cheap pieces, patient style, good run over Salisbury, 6 furlongs on fast ground last time, finishing a close 3rd. Similar track to Ascot. I thought he could run a race as well.
Okay, so we've got a 12-1 chance with Flora of Bermuda there, 50-1 chance with Annaf, and 2 66-1 chances. So, I mean, it really is a cracking race, as you sort of said, Matty. The first 4 in the market, all from 4 different countries. Inisherin in there, which was part of Dave's top 10 best bets. I can't remember where he came in, but he was quite keen on them. I'd love to see Satono Rev win this, though, for Japan to finally get them off the mark at Royal Ascot. But it's all big price selections for us. So hopefully we'll leave that race with some nice, juicy profit. On to the 420. It is the Jersey Stakes, 7 furlongs, Group 3 event for 3-year-olds. Matty, you can go first on this one. Who do you like?
Yeah, I thought there was one that was wildly overpriced in here, and that's California Dreamer for the Ammo team. She was only beaten 4. She was a beaten 4-length 5th in the Albany Stakes last season. Before that, and after that, she was only beaten a half length from Group 2 company, then 2 lengths behind Babouche. So she had very smart form as a 2-year-old. She proved that she trained on when winning by 5 lengths at Dundalk and out on the all-weather. Then she was unsuited by 7 furlongs and a Fred Darling, which then she ran an absolute career best when staying on second to Late Victoria in the Irish 1000 Guineas. And I just think, look, she brings the best form by a mile in this race, I thought. She receives £3 from Comanche Brave, who tops the weight in the rating, so she comes out best on the adjusted weights. And I think, around what the price she is, I think she's one of the best bets of the day.
California Dreamer currently an 8-1 chance there for David Egan, obviously taking the ride for Ammo Racing. I think he's just renewed his contract with them, hasn't he, for another year or so. So hopefully they can celebrate on Saturday with a winner and a winner for Matty. Andrew, who do you like in the Jersey Stakes?
There's a couple of interesting. I quite like Benevento, actually, the other Ammo Racing one, although it's a part owned by Ammo. And this one, so it was 10th to ruling court in the Guineas last time out, struggling to stay the mile. The time before ran 4th to Field of Gold in the Craven Stakes, being 4 and a bit lengths. Did too much too soon on the front end in a race that was set up for the closers. And then you look at his form over trips shy of a mile. He won a 5 furlong Yarmouth Maiden, ran second in a listed company at Ripon on his second start. And then, of course, he went to Doncaster for a listed race over 7, today's trip. He beat Symbol of Honour. And, of course, Symbol of Honour is now rated 110. And we last saw in action winning the Sandy Lane Stakes, of course. And because he's a gelding, he can't take in the Commonwealth Cup on Friday. So I thought Benevento had a squeak. Yeah, Matty's made a good case for California Dreamer. That was another one on my shortlist. The one I'm going to put up, though, for the purpose of this video is Noble Champion for Ed Walker, around about 25-33 to 1, I think. Now, he was only 7th of 10 to Jonquil in the Greenham. But if you watch that race back, it was a big advantage to race near the stand side, as it can be at those early season Newbury meetings. You look at the first 5 finishes that day. There were 10 runners. The first 5 came from the 5 highest stalls, drawn 9, 10, 6, 7, and 8. The 5 lowest stalls filled the last 5 places. Noble Champion dwelt at the start, came out of stall 3, raced far side of the centre on the slowest ground, and I thought did pretty well to finish less than 6 lengths back. Next time out, he's gone to Goodwood over a mile behind Amalok, who's unbeaten. Is going to be a short price for a big race at Ascot on Friday. And although he travelled very well, he was perhaps given a little bit too much to do, and sort of, although staying on, never got a blow in at the leaders. And then last time dropped back to 6 furlongs at Newbury behind Symbol of Honour. He just never got involved. So I think 7 furlongs is going to turn out to be his optimum trip. He has won at this distance on the all-weather. I think 33 to 1, given the form of the yard. They had a big price warning. Was it Do It Now at 80 to 1 second in these colours earlier on in the week? So I thought Noble Champion each way might give us a run for our money.
Yep, Noble Champion 33 to 1. Ed Walker's runner, as you said. Kieran Schumacher takes the ride. So 2 more very big priced picks from the 2 of you there. It should be quite an exciting day on Saturday with the way this is going. On to the 5 o'clock is the Wokingham Stakes, obviously a heritage handicap over 6 furlongs, class 2 event for 3-year-olds and over. Do we have enough time to get your selection in, Andrew, before the 2:30's off?
Yeah, I'm sure we can. I'm just watching them milling around at the stall, so there might be a while. There's the one I put up in the GG Ascot preview Invictus Gold doesn't run. That's a little bit disappointing. More Thunder, I was slightly worried about him coming back. More Thunder, I was slightly worried about the faster ground here, given that he does seem to like a bit of cut, but I think I can see him going well. I don't want to put him up at this sort of price. So a Ram finally got his sort of head in front after a string of seconds under Ryan Moore last time, but that was at Newbury where again, it was a typical Newbury. You've got to be on the front end. You look at the winner and runner-up in that race, Prominent and Lead, both drawn low. The first 3 were drawn 2, 3, and 1. I just think everything dropped right for him that day. I don't think he's going to be able to repeat that. I think 8 to 1's too short. I quite like Completely Random for that race. He was only 5th as a 15 to 2 shot, weakened the betting out from 11 to 2, beaten 2.5 lengths. He was the first home of those ridden patiently. And if stall 14's okay, I thought Completely Random would have a squeak. But the other one I like, and the one I'll make as the sort of pick for the captions in this video, is £10. another Harry Charlton train run. I'm not sure stall 4 is going to be any good. And it doesn't look an obvious one after finishing 16th of 17 in the Victoria Cup. But of course, he was poorly drawn that day, and nothing went right. You had to be drawn in the middle or low. You look at the those who finished out the back of the telly; they're all drawn high. Mile, who was 8th from the highest draw that day, has come out and won since at Chester. He was upset in the stalls, took a keyhole, race promptly, didn't get home. Coming back to 6th and the first time tongue tie could be the making of them. So I'll go £10 over completely random. But given my main pick is out of the race, I'm not particularly confident here.
Okay, so 25 to 1 for £10 and 16 to 1 for completely random. 2 to play in the Wokingham from Andrew. This race is about to go off. My stream I have is a bit behind, but who do you guys have in this?
I've gone Hey True Blue at a big price and Comical Point as well, but I imagine the favourite's going to win. I've banked on the favourite in my play spot.
I'm on the French one, who I thought it might just blow the start, but he's going okay. So we'll have to see. The favourites in front, it might just stay there.
Yeah, the going stick suggests that the ground is quicker down the stand side today. That's at Ascot on Thursday, and they're all racing in one heap, stand side of centre. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds up throughout the rest of the day.
They've only just broke on my screen, so the running commentary is going to have to come from you two.
Well, you got cheap TV, haven't you?
I don't have the privilege. I don't have AC in this room. I definitely don't have live TV. It's not the best.
Oh, it's a race on, isn't it? Here comes three in a line. Ryan's getting on top on Charles Darwin. You can lay 101. It's all over.
Yeah.
Well backed. It was 11 to 8. It was 11 to 8 last night. It was about 1.7 something on the death.
Yeah, we just
how boring.
Yeah, very impressive. I mean, as I say, I've just hit the 2 furlong marker here, but he's looking very, very good, isn't he? Yeah, very nice.
See if you can still get a bet on.
Yeah, for sure. Charles Darwin, the winner of the Norfolk Stakes to open proceedings on Thursday at Royal Ascot. But back to Saturday, Matty, Wokingham. Who have you got?
Yeah, I've gone for one that I backed successfully in the 2023 renewal. That was St Lawrence. I just think this has been an absolutely almighty plot from Connections and Archie Watson. As I say, he won the 2023 renewal on seasonal debut when they reapplied blinkers from £3 higher than what he is now. And it wasn't no fluke. No, next time out, it was beating a half a length from the group on Maurice de Guise next time out. And I just think since his revised mark of 109, they've been plotting him for this ever since. He had to run off top weight in 3 handicaps at the start of last season. Never got competitive in last year's Wokingham under Luke Morris. I think Holiday might have been riding Albashire that day instead, which told you the yard sorts there. Then he had 3 runs back in group company. He was only beaten a length 5th, a 4-length 6th, and a 4-length 5th. So it's not like he'd gone completely off the boil. And then he nearly returned form in the Curragh handicap, beating two lengths off top weight from £8 higher than what he is now. And since then, they debuted him on the all-weather, and he's gone out from 4. And if you watch back that run in January on the 17th at Newcastle, he barely came off the bridle, having been short of room. Holiday was looking towards the stand side rail at some point. There was nothing there. And then he was given a satirical crack of the whip, shall we say, just before the line for good measure. And it just looks like they've been working back to this ever since. The blinkers replace the cheap pieces now, and Colin Keane takes the ride from Holly Doyle even. Stall 1, as Andrew mentioned for his selection, Stall 1 not an obvious gift, but 2 of the winners have come from it, including last year's winner, Unequal Love. So a chance in the reapplied blinkers, St Lawrence can get lightning to strike twice.
St Lawrence 25 to 1 with Bethane right now. That is an industry best price. The race has already gone, so I forgot what your selection actually is, Andrew. But what can you just tell us again what it is there in the Wokingham?
I was going £10.
£10
over completely random, both from the Harry Charlton yard. But yeah, £10 had excuses in the Victoria Cup. Coming back in trip could help. First time tongue tie goes on.
Excellent. Right, so on to the 5:35, the penultimate race of Royal Ascot. It's the Golden Gate Stakes, 1 mile, 2 furlongs handicap. Class 2 for 3-year-olds. Andrew, you can start.
Well, first of all, let's get the name right. It's the Gareth Gates, not the Golden Gates. So I've launched a one-man campaign to get it referred to as that. If you can call races the potato race instead of the Albert Bartlett, and also Cheltenham Festival reference there, and the Platty Jubes instead of the Platinum Jubilee, then we can have the Gareth Gates. So,
But we've lost the Platty Jubes now. The Platty Jubes.
Well, that's why we should replace it with the Gareth Gates. So, right, first of all, we should say we're on the round course here, big field handicap, so beware those drawn very low. I want to be against stalls 1, 2, and 3. This race has only been going for 5 years, and in that time, colts drawn in stall 4 or higher have won all 5 runnings of the race. And if you bet all 40 qualifiers, you'd have made a profit of £16.25. So that is the angle I shall be looking at. And if you look at particularly the colts drawn middle to high, you've got Basalt from stall 19, but he's in first-time cheek pieces, which is a terrible statistical angle for the Archie Watson yard. He'd do an absolute fortune if you backed his first-time cheek piece runners. Similar with John and Fady Gosden. Now, John Gosden's got a really good record in first-time blinkers at Ascot, whether it's the Royal Meeting or any of the other Ascot meetings. He already had a winner in the first-time blinkers here earlier in the week, French Master. He's got Go-Go Boots coming up on Thursday as we speak, who has been back from 20 to 1 into 12 to 1 that I think is going to run a big race. But in cheek pieces, it's the other way around. It's got an absolutely horrific record. And Ernst Blofeld 10s from 14s in the last sort of day or so, coming out of stall 18, which could help, but he's in the first-time cheek pieces. That's enough to put me off him. And you look at some of the other fancied runners, the King's Falcons are gelding, and so geldings have yet to win this race. So you're drawn to Seraph Gabriel for Rafe Beckett coming out of stall 17, second to fifth column at Sandown last time out. He's on the short list. And of the others, Archivist is the obvious one, but he's only a reserve. And there was sort of a few people who thought they'd blown his handicap mark when winning at Leicester last time out, but he could have done with going up a bit more to actually get into this race. Salal is interesting as well from Roger Bering, coming out of stall 10. And Beckett's second string, Arel with Kingscote on it, coming out of stall 9, would have a squeak as well. But I think I'm going to be very boring and go with the favourite, which is Seraph Gabriel, but he fits the trends for the race.
Yes, not what I expected from you there, Andrew, with the other selections that you've been picking, but it's the favourite Seraph Gabriel 7-2, as he mentioned, Rafe Beckett's runner in the Gareth Gates.
Hey, captain.
Did that one for you, mate. Matty, who do you like?
Yeah, it could be tough to take on the favourite. The winner of last year's renewal, Hand of God, he won the Esher Cup before going on to win the Golden Arm, the Gareth Gates, I should say. And Seraph and Beckett saw Seraph Gabriel. He was second in the Esher Cup, behind fifth column, as Andrew mentioned. So I think, as you mentioned, he's won on good ground, good firm ground as a 2-year-old. This ground should be fine. So he has to be taken into consideration. The one at a price I'm interested in, or there's two. The first, Andrew's mentioned the draw, which is slightly off-putting. It was Roosevelt, who for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. Now, he's only won a 1 mile 4 maiden when staying on strongly on his second start, and then in May, and then the drops into 7 furlongs, his handicap debut. And in the Racing Post comments, the comments were the vet noted the colts were blowing hard post race. I think, well, there's no bloody surprise given they ran him over 5 furlongs shorter. So I do think Roosevelt's got a decent chance. The tongue tie's been equipped, going back up in trip. The form from that maiden has been Frank's as the second, who's now rated 92. He was third to 3 lengths behind Carmus next time out, who of course came out and won the Queen's Vase yesterday. So Roosevelt off a mark of 92, looks well handicapped in that respect. And the other one was Kida Bethane, who I always nearly refer to as Kida Boban, which is a completely different sphere in itself. It was third in the London Gold Cup. We all know that race seems to work out year on year. That was his handicap debut. He's given far too much to do, but he's still done quite well. The form's already working out too, and it could be franked by Lightning Man today, who raced at Ascot in a couple of races' time. It was a neck behind that winner at Kempton in February. The form's worked out to that degree. He's a fairly big rangy horse. Well, so imagine that a race of this nature, when it could be a bit of a scuffling, will suit. and Borden won the race with Fox's Tail 3 years back too. So I've split the pair on of Roosevelt and Bethane.
Bethane 10-1 with Bethane, Roosevelt 9-1. Roosevelt with, as you say, I mean, you've explained obviously the reasoning why, but a bizarre form line, especially for an Aidan O'Brien horse of 0-1-0. But yeah, one to keep an eye on in the Gareth Gate handicap, the penultimate of the Royal Ascot.
Catching on.
On to the final race of the day and the final race of Royal Ascot. It's the Queen Alexandra Stakes over 2 miles, 5.5 furlongs, the longest flat race in the British racing calendar. Class 2 event for 4-year-olds or older. I am right with that being the oldest, aren't I there, guys? Not the oldest, the longest, sorry. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I was just thinking, was there one?
There's one at Pontefract, which is very similar.
Yeah. But yeah, extremely long race. Obviously, a race that has been won by some national hunt horses in the past, Dawn Rising being one of them, as Andrew well knows. Strong point for him on the Royal Ascot quiz for that answer. Matty, who is it you like the look of to end the week on a high?
Yeah, it's not a race I'm massively interested in. But speaking of King of Bourbon, you've got the Willie Mullins trained favourite here, Sober. An interesting one. He debuted for the yard last time out in May, winning Novice Hurdle at Killarney. Got some okay French flat form, nothing too special though. But you'd imagine if any of these are guaranteed to stay, it'll be that one. However, I'm more interested in Wild Waves for Andrew Borden, who I believe both me and Andrew tipped up for the St. Ledger last season. I just think, I mean, he ran in that race at York behind Table Talk at the E-Ball meeting when he came from absolutely nowhere, given far too much to do when you had to be on the front end. In another 100 yards, he would have won the race. The winner's already come out and finished second in Group 3, 2 Group 3 contests since, now rated 110, I believe. So the form's worked out. And even the Ledger wasn't entirely disgraced. It's only been 7 lengths. And I think it was the least rated. I think it was only rated 95. And £15 inferior to the field. Only beaten 7 lengths, still stayed on. And you do have to chance him a bit on this year's form. Was absolutely battered in the behind Chiava on single debut in the Queen's Cup at Musselburgh. Stayed on okay to a degree in Ria, Newmarket behind Story Horse, and then they went to Italy in a listed contest, and he was only 4th there, but recorded an okay RPR 104. He's by Chris Alotion from the family of Getaway, who's obviously turned into a good national hunt stallion. So I just think if there's anything that can improve the rating over this trip, it could be Wild Waves. It was a good alternative to the Willie Mullins train's favourite.
Wild Waves 5-1, taking on Sober, who's odds on 10-11 right now with Bethane. As Matty said, Wild Waves 6th in the St. Ledger, and I think you both did tip it, because I remember seeing that you had both tipped it and ploughing into it, as they say, and obviously being a bit disappointed at the end. Andrew, Wild Waves, do you agree with him, or are you going elsewhere?
I'm going to go elsewhere, but I will be saving on Wild Waves. He is only a 4-year-old, and it does tend to go to an older horse, this race. But you look at the number of times he's run over a mile 6 and been described as outpaced before staying on. He's clearly going to appreciate the step up in trip to 2 miles or further. This is quite a big step up in trip. It might come a little bit too soon in his career, but I think he's going to develop into a cup horse going forward, and I certainly want to have something on him. The one I like is Samui, who ran 3rd in the Ascot Stakes here on Tuesday, the 2.5 mile handicap for Gordon Elliott. We've seen loads of horses take in both races in the past, including ones who've sort of stayed on into a place in that race and then come out and won this one. He was only beaten 3 lengths by French Master that day. He raced on the inside, that perhaps wasn't ideal. The winner came wide down the middle of the track and was well back. That was one of those John Gosden first-time blinkered Ascot winners. I think Samui's going to run a big race here. So I'd quite happily play him each way at 6-1. Have a saver on Wild Waves and maybe do a forecast as well, and hope that Sober underperforms.
It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Hottest day of the year, and we're talking about a Gordon Elliott trained horse beating a Willie Mullins trained top favourite. All seems a bit out of kilt, but okay, yeah, that's all of the racing from Ascot on Saturday. Obviously, as I said, the final day of the meeting. Is there anything from anywhere else that has caught your eyes, guys?
I've not looked yet, just concentrated on Ascot.
Okay, so do keep an eye on Andrew's column, which will go live Saturday morning to see if there's any other sections from elsewhere he likes the look of. Last thing to do is ask you guys for your nap. Andrew, Flora.
I'm going Flora of Bermuda in the big sprint, but a bit like Docklands, it's an each way nap, if you know what I mean.
Okay, and as I said, that will be boosted by Bethane, so keep an eye on the description to back Andrew's nap at a boosted price. Matty, your nap.
Yeah, mine's an each way nap as well. It's St Lawrence in the in the 5 o'clock, the Wokenham. Chance at the reapply blinkers from £3 higher. His last win can work a treat.
Wonderful. St Lawrence for Matty then. Okay, and that is everything. So thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Matty, for coming and sharing your thoughts. Thank you to you guys and girls for watching. As I said, if you could hit that subscribe button, it's completely free and it really helps us out. And yeah, that is all. Have a lucky day. Have a good day. Enjoy the weather. And we'll see you soon. Cheers.